Hello, friends. This is Tomar Levine of Soul Guidance for Awakening, and this is another episode of my unfolding series of live streams I'm calling Stepping into the Unknown. And it seems like those words keep being more and more accurate to describe our situation in life, both individually for many of us and certainly collectively, globally for what we call the world or all of humanity. We're very much in the unknown. Now, I mentioned yesterday that we're sort of marking the first anniversary of the beginning of the COVID shutdown and the alteration of our culture, of our economy, of many, many, if not most, of our individual lives. For many people, our health, for many people, great loss, great grief, loss of income, loss of normal activities, loss of connection to friends and community, and expression and creative expression and professional expression. For some of us, it's just meant an alteration and an adjustment. And for some of us, like me, it's meant very little, if any, change. And for some people I know, it has marked an improvement. So it really encompasses the gamut. We can't generalize, but the vast majority, and I would say certainly in terms of society as a whole, we have received a great blow. Certainly a great blow to our economy, and certainly many revelations concerning what's lacking in our culture, in our society, what's lacking in our safety net, what's lacking in what would be considered a healthy, supportive environment in which humans can thrive. So that discovery of something missing, that revelation has been happening, and I think will increasingly continue to happen as more and more of the shadow of the life we've been living, of the social structures, the economic structures, the political structures that have been running our world, will be revealed. This is a prediction I'm making. It's not going to stop. It's going to keep going, and it will intensify, certainly in the next year, next few years. But it's also been happening very much for individuals, that there are personal revelations like, oh my God, now that I'm not doing that job, now that I'm not going to work and commuting every day, now that I'm not having to clock into that corporate environment or that law office, I suddenly realize always hated it. It was never good for me. I never enjoyed it. It was something I did because I thought I had no choice or I was pushed into it. And now I suddenly realize I can breathe. I can rest. I can pause. I can read. I can discover some of my talents. I'm walking in nature more. I'm discovering that I would rather be out in nature than be cooped up in an office with numbers and with technicalities. Well, many of us are at a turning point, and the world is at a turning point. So there is an overlap, I would say, um, that's not accidental. So the world is at a turning point. It has been for a long time, but it has come to a crescendo, to a peak, to the moment of pressure. And that pressure is inviting us as individuals also to pivot, to seek, to choose. What is it we most desire? What is it we would long to express and actualize from within ourselves? What do we long to give? What do we long to contribute? What latent, dormant, or long forgotten talents and abilities, loves and passions that we may have suppressed, or that we may have been convinced by others that it was not practical for us to pursue? And suddenly they are emerging through us. They are arising in us with a stronger force. It was time for us to stop shutting off our life force, our source of energy, our inner light, our creativity, our passion, and the wisdom that flows through us. when we allow it to. We are all connected to a source of wisdom, our own higher self, our own expanded being, our own vaster self that lives in that spiritual dimension. We're all connected to it. It's called intuition. It's called inner knowing. It's called having a hunch. It's called just following an urge or an impulse. Some of us have been learning how to follow those impulses, urges, and intuitions, and some of us are just beginning to notice that we haven't been following them. So we are potentially a conduit, an open spigot through which can flow a lot of wisdom, a lot of life force energy, a lot of incandescence of the true self, the true soul light that we are, that we carry. We have that potential, each of us, to be an open, unimpeded flow from above to below, bringing into the earth plane this higher energy, this higher source light. But for most of us, that path is not open. It is not clear. It's blocked. It's crimped. It's bent. It's twisted. There are barriers in the way. These barriers are our beliefs. A lot of them are our beliefs of who we are, what's possible for us, what's possible in general. It's a belief that it may not be safe for us to be all that we came to be. It may be some ancient memories that even go beyond this life of how we were punished. And some of us were punished in our childhoods when we attempted to just speak the truth that we saw. And we learned very quickly, oh, that's not allowed here. I'll get in trouble. And for some of us, there are just layers and layers of conditioning, patterns, and habits. They may come from what we have internalized from the voices and teachings and admonishments of our parents and our teachers and our social group and our collective group, and that impulse and tendency of the growing person to want to conform, to want to be accepted, to want to be part of the group, not different, not outside, not excluded. And again, if you go back genetically, if you go back historically and into our own family lineage, it wasn't that many years ago, a few hundred maybe, when to be different from, to be excluded from, to be exiled from the group that you were born to be part of would actually mean death, because we all were interdependent and survival depended on being interwoven with that tribe, that community. We carry within us memories. We carry within us that same fear that being excluded, rejected, or even just different from the tribe we were born into is going to be very, very dangerous for us. And of course, social exclusion in itself is very painful, and most people fear it and will do a lot to avoid it. So even though we have blockages in this conduit that we form, we can release those blockages. We can clear them. We can discover where we have formed these beliefs or these identifications with being a certain person who has to follow a certain path. We can discover where we have fears embedded in us from our earliest childhood. We can discover where we have become conformist and are living our life according to somebody else's dictum or wanting to blend in and be accepted. We can discover these things. We can discover, first of all, by following where we feel pain, where we feel emotional pain, regret, resentment, loss, or just a feeling of great longing coming from within us, a longing to release and even just to discover, to become acquainted with who we are on a deeper level. We can open these crimps and blockages so that more of that higher light can shine through. We can become more courageous. We can take risks and step into the unknown. We can start to test what's possible. We can start to expand our belief and understanding, our awareness, our experience of what's actually possible to us. We can start to take a higher view of our life rather than just from close to the ground, what I call the ant's eye view, where every blade of grass is this enormous event where everything stops and you have to just maneuver around this blade of grass. Imagine just flying up on the back of an eagle and looking down at the vast, vast landscape of the territory of your life. And those blades of grass are insignificant because you suddenly see that, oh my God, if I follow down in that direction, there's a beautiful lake that opens up. I didn't even know it was there. Or there's an incredible garden, or there's a community of people waiting to greet me. I didn't see it because I was too close to the ground. So I believe we're being challenged to explore more deeply what our turning points may be, our forks in the road, just recognizing that we are unique individual sovereign souls. We are each a spark of the divine, which means we are a particular, unique, individual ray of one divine source. We therefore partake of the greatest, highest, and most powerful energy of existence, of creation. That's intrinsic in who we are. And yet we've been taught to consider ourselves very limited and even to be ashamed of who we are as human beings or as the people that we are within the context of our community. We've been taught to denigrate ourselves. We've been taught to reject ourselves. We've really been taught very deliberately to forget who we are, to not know who we are, and to not know what's possible, what power is possible, what freedom is possible, what joy is possible, what incredible expression of creativity is possible from within the seed of life that we carry with us in our eternal soul as it's embodied in this one lifetime. So just consider what your turning point may be, what you may be hearing calling you, and what choices are being laid out before you now. Or how would you like to explore that? And are you willing to step into the unknown? The whole world is stepping into the unknown. And you are being carried with that. Many blessings to you, and bye for now.